Good evening, and welcome to the Cider Enterprises Book Club conference call. I am Claudette Redic, or more affectionately known as Queen Hostess Claudette, and I am so proud to be here with you this evening on the Cider Enterprises Book Club conference call. I've got outstanding, marvelous, magnificent guests tonight. And I'm also pleased to say she's a friend of mine. It delights me to know that I'm in the acquaintance, if you will, with some great people. And our guest tonight, Miss Carla LeVeau, she's going to rock the house, telling us her wonderful story about Mama Never Told Me. Well, I'll say Mama Never Told Her, because that's the title of her book. But before we get to do more than invite Carla in, can we hear you, Carla? Know that you're on the line? You want to try that again, the star 6, Carla? Well, while she's finding that right button, I am going to... There you go. Is that you? Well, I guess not. She will get back with us by star 6ing her phone. But I'd like to thank you again, all my guests on this call, for joining us. This book club conference call, which happens on the third Thursday of each month, September through April, is my baby. I love books, and as a business owner and many other roles I play, I wanted to make certain that I kept time to read. That has been a comforter for me to just have good books all around me. And even as a young girl, when I couldn't go anywhere, I would get into those books, and I could travel the world. So it delights me to be the host of a showcase where I can feature authors, and I've always liked stories about people overcoming life-altering situations, and those who have the ability to tell those stories without it being a woe me, oh, I'm the victim kind of story. They tell those stories in love. They tell their stories in hope. They tell their stories in enlightenment. So those of us who purchase books, who listen on the calls, can know that they are indeed overcomers. So, Carla, are you on there yet to say hello?
Hello.
That's you, Carla.
No, I'm Minister Mosley. I'm a member of the church where Carla LeVeau Hawkins serves.
Okay. Well, if you will just bear with us, we're going to open the line up for questions about 7:30. Right now, we're just introducing Carla and allowing her an opportunity to come in and share her story. But thank you. I'm going to look forward to a question from you a little later. Is that well with you?
Oh, of course.
Okay. I hear the phone chiming. Carla, you are bringing in all kind of callers tonight, and that's wonderful. Are you on yet, Carla? Star 6? I don't know. I'm going to open the line up. Cut her entirely off.
This is Cookie on your call, Claudette, from Georgia. We can't hear you. You're like you're in a shadow. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, this is Minister Mosley. I just unmuted myself again. I'm just waiting for the conference to begin.
Right. We can hear you.
Okay. Carla, is that you now speaking? I apologize. I'm not certain what's happening with our conference call line today, but I will try again to just open the line up, and I invite you to allow us to talk a bit, and we'll open the questions up at 7:30.
Claudette, can you hear me?
There you are, Carla.
I kept hitting star six, so I just went out and came back in because I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but sometimes it be that way.
Yes, and I'm so grateful that you were able to bear with us as we got this all straight, because your callers are hitting this line. I hear those chimes. They're ready to talk. So why don't we just get started? Carla, please name, if you will.
Carla LeVeau Hawkins.
Okay. Go ahead.
And the complete name of my book is Mama Never Told Me. Things Mama Should Have Told Me, but Never Did.
Wow. And you know, we really messed with that title so much. I'm glad you read it out loud so we could have the correct title. Mama Never Told Me. Things Mama should have told me, but never did. Because I get lost in thinking about just the title of it and everything. So tell me, how did you come with this, of all the things in your life that you could have done, and talking about your mom, why did you pick Things She Never Told You as the story?
Well, how this all came about is because there was something that I always wanted to know. And the source that I went to was my mom to get the answers. And she wasn't in a place or a space to talk about the answers that I needed. So, there's some things in life that people go through, and they might not be ready to talk about them, might not be ready to face them, and in their going through it, they don't even realize how it impacts those others around them, their loved ones, So that's how I came to it, because we sometimes look for answers, and we look outside of ourselves for those answers, and that's not always the place to look for the answers.
I tell you, you did a story makeover for my whole perception of you. I see you as this tall, elegant, fabulous woman. You're a woman of God. You have a prayer line that comes on weekly, and you encourage people. I believe you're an educator. I know you're an actress. I've heard you sing. I've noticed the great things you do as a mother and as a wife. And so when I read this book, girl, I was shocked. I was like, oh, that's not the same woman I know. Can't be. It was just hard for me to comprehend, as wonderful as you are, that you had to go through this. Can you just start us off telling us a little bit about your childhood? How that started your quest to know you?
Well, the quest came because my childhood is such a mystery to me. I had so many unanswered questions. I had dreams. I had visions. I had all these things that had no that I had no answers to. And throughout life, even though I had a father that raised me and loved me dearly, and I had siblings and a loving mother, there was still this void that I was seeking to get answers to get clarity to. And despite what people would think is, this polished person, deep down
Yes.
inside, I wasn't polished. Deep down inside, I was lacking something, and I had to go through this journey. You know, God gave me. People want your glory, but they don't want your story. See, because people see the end product, but they don't see all the things that one goes through to reach that point that God is elevating you to, because there's growing pains, there's growth that everyone takes. There are, situations that come into all of our lives, and they can either grow us, they can, break us, but you don't have to stay in a broken place. So that's how, this story came about.
I read in the early parts of the book where your father, your biological father, you did not know him. Can you share a little bit about that? Did you know him at all?
I never, beyond being born and a very little girl, I mentioned in the story, I used to have this recurring nightmare of this very handsome, tall man who had me over his head, and I just remember hearing my mother screaming, "Put her down, put her down, put her down." And the image put me down and went out the door and slammed the door, and that was the last to be seen of that image. And so that's the father, my biological father. That's the image that I remember. That's all. And once he left, he never returned. I never saw him again. In fact, he wasn't spoken of.
Well, how'd your mom avoid that? I'm sure you peppered her with questions. Where's my dad? What's happening? And how did she handle that?
That was a very hard subject for her, and I met it with a lot of opposition, a lot of resistance, a lot of anger, to the point where I knew to tread very lightly on that subject. And as I grew older and things hit me more, and I the dreams kept coming and I couldn't release it, I sometimes would have to go back to that well and try to see, well, am I going to get some answers now? And, to this day, I can say it's now at a point that, and I am 52 years of age, and my mother and I still have not had that conversation about my father. I have found out that she has openly discussed him with my siblings, because we have different dads. And they have had more information told to them than I ever had. And so now it is, a push for Mom to be open and have some conversation with me. Because there are stories that they know that they're like, you don't know this? And I'm like, no. So, yeah.
Well, I can appreciate the irony of that, because later on in the story you're talking about their father and your love for him and the stories that you had. But before we go that far down the road, I just was marveling at the poem. You're also a poetess, and you have this "Mama Never Told Me" piece in the book. Mama never told me what to do with all the pain I held inside. Mama never told me why her first love left her side. Mama never told me that the memory of him caused her pain. Mama never told me she didn't want to speak of him again. Mama never told me why my father left. And Mama never knew I blamed myself. That was so powerful to me, that you as a child had taken that on as a personal responsibility, that you were the reason why they weren't together. How did you come to reconcile that? Was it just time and age, or what?
It really did come with age. It also came with me experiencing a failed marriage. You really get to understand a mother's pain when things don't work out with that husband and that father for your children. You know, as a mom, we are nurturers. We are always putting our children first. We don't want them to experience things. So it gave me a greater appreciation for understanding my mother and the pain that she felt, even though she never, spoke of it outwardly. She spoke of it because of how she dealt with it. And
What do you mean by that?
I came to realize that she did the best that she could with the situation at the time that she was dealing with, and that's what we do as parents. That's what we do as mothers. That's what we do. We try to shelter our children through our love.
Well, I see your mom. She did go on and marry again after your father, and this was the man you pretty much spent much of your life with up until about 18 or so. Is that correct? Your stepfather?
Yes. I spent. He was. Everyone who knows me, the only father they ever know is my father. Which I never called him stepfather. We never used those words in our home. And like I said, because it was like, my other father just didn't exist, and I had a new father who loved me, and that was it. And, I took his name, and, I moved forward, and we were the best of friends until he died, and God did some real healing there. And allowed me to, minister to him before his death.
Well, why would you need to minister to him? You had failed to love him as daughter, or what was going on that you needed to minister to him at his deathbed, may I ask?
No. He had abused me, and I didn't even realize whom had abused me until after his passing, and I was unctioned to write him a letter that the Lord had inspired me to write to him, and after I took it, I wrote it, I gave it to him, and it was later after he had passed that I really realized what I was saying in that letter. And people go through things, and they cause pain onto another person, and sometimes they beat up on themselves so long, and they don't think they can ever be forgiven. And God will forgive you, and you have to forgive yourself, and you have to go before the Lord. And that's what the letter was all about. It was a release for him, because I think he spent a big portion of his life trying to make up for the hurts that he had caused, and and I was so grateful to God for allowing me to be that passageway for him, for his salvation, and knowing that he was truly forgiven by God and by me.
Wow, that is really magnanimous in terms of your ability to forgive, Carla. You say this was the man who you loved dearly as the only father you really knew, and yet he was the one who had really stolen your trust in terms of looking for the one who parents you to protect you.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Whew. That's some heavy stuff, girl. I tell you. You're even bigger than I thought. to be able to let that go. I just, know of so many broken people today who've gone through those situations. They've acknowledged them, but that forgiveness is not in them yet. It's still at another stage. So your being able to do that, even on his deathbed, that was huge, girl. You got lots of love in you, I tell you. But how did those kind of things affect you in your adult life? You've moved from childhood and now you're a young woman. You're starting your own life. What did you look for in your men?
Well, yeah, it was interesting because, as I point out in the book, I've been married. This is my third marriage. And when you go down that road and you have a failure, and then you go down another road and you see another failure, what I had to do was look at the common denominator in what was happening. And the only thing that I could change was myself. And the only thing I could really go introspective on was myself. So that's what I did. I'm like, okay, Lord, what is it that is causing me to have these choices? And where am I lacking? And I found that I had to go all the way back to when my first father left. And, one of the things that people say, well, you were so young, how did it was so, I was so young, but it was so vivid in my mind, it never released from me. And I wasn't able to get answers. When I was truly, really desperately seeking and had decided that I was not going to take no for an answer, I was going to find out some information, I was 18. And come to find out that my biological father had been deceased and had been deceased for a while. Immediately, the nightmares of him ceased. They were gone. That part just ceased. But the longing to understand and know who he was never did. And the resentment I had for, okay, why didn't you want to know me? Which came on to me as, why am I not worthy? And so then I took on this complex of not being worthy and accepting anything that came in my way as far as relationships. So it started impacting me all the way through my adult life. And the more I got angry about things, the more God was like, well, how can you be close to me if you're harboring this anger and resentment towards others? I can't truly be loved in your heart and be full. You can't have my full love when you harboring hatred in your heart. So I had come to a place where I had to forgive I went to my biological father. I tracked down his birth certificate, and I went to his gravesite, and I got off my chest what I needed to get off my chest, and and I forgave him, and I said, I just wanted to know why you didn't want to know me. And then I said, but one thing I do know, you gave me life, and I honor you for giving me life, and I love you for giving me life, and I'm sorry you didn't get to know me. So I was able to finally release that, and I had such freedom. Forgiveness is freedom for you. Forgiveness is freedom for you. He wasn't there to hear me, but it was so freeing and liberating for me. And I had such relief from being able to do that. And it's the same with my dad. I loved him dearly, and in the end, I know he loved me, and we healed that. So, we were able to move on.
Okay. Would you say each of your marriages kind of helped you grow more self-worthy? Or did they take away from you your growth, your forgiveness, your trust?
No, at the time going through them, I probably would have said no. But when I looked at it, when I was in a broken place, and I got what I required, and if you don't require much, you don't get much. And I realized that, and so I was able to grow once I really, sat back and prayed on it and marinated on it and looked at it, and like, where am I allowing these things to manifest in my life, and what can I do to be a better me, to relationships, and to especially that main relationship was that relationship with myself, loving myself.
And I know it's an ongoing journey to stay in that place, but you have a daughter, am I correct?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I have several. Yes, I have one biological daughter, and then I have two of my goddaughters that I raised, and now I have additional daughters with my third marriage.
Okay. Well, what are you telling these girls? I mean, what should they be knowing as growing women? Is there any particular message or teachable moment that you feel you must bring to their attention as women?
Well, as women, and as my girls, I always tell them to be true to yourself, because it's so important to be true to yourself and to love yourself. And if you don't treat yourself well, then others won't treat you well either. So I remind them of that. I am grateful for the relationship that I do have with my girls. I've never sugar-coated anything. I've been an open book as far as, if they have a question, I'm going to answer it. And then I will always say, though, if you get the answer to this, is this going to add value to your life? Because sometimes as young people, we want answers, and I learned that through my situation. Sometimes you want answers that won't add value to your life, and it's something that happened between adults, and it should stay between adults. So, what is really the motivation of knowing those questions, having those questions, and wanting those answers?
Okay. I'm just chuckling a little bit when you say, well, that's adult stuff. there ever come a point in time when you can hear the whole truth? Yes, you're visited as a young person and you want to know. But there comes a time when, just as you shared in this book, there's no shame to it. This is what it is, and this is who I am. People get to measure you by their own lens, and those who fail to see your greatness and your goodness, you don't even want to be in their company. And I see that you have worked so hard to promote, create, stabilize, and sustain your own worth that I believe you can just hear what they might want to comment and keep it moving. I admire you, Carla. I am so proud of you and this book you produced, and it's just about time for us to open up. So before we do that, would you please tell people how they can get their copy of the book, how they can connect with you, and, have further conversation if they so desire, especially a book signing, a book club event. Would you share with us?
I will. Well, you can always reach out to me via my women's ministry, which is Women of Faith Stand United, and I have a Gmail, which is W, S as in Frank, S as in Sam, U as an umbrella, ministries at gmail.com, Women of Faith Stand United Ministries, and you can call me at 708-878-1633. And I have sent out the Cider Enterprise link, which also has a link to getting the book. So there are several different avenues. And also at Spa Theater, because that is what we do at the Speakers, Publishers, and Authors Association that I am a member of. And that is who I went through to publish my book, because we teach classes on public speaking and publishing, and we have our own publishing company. So I am proud to say that SPA is the publisher of my book, and I am proud to also say that one of our very own, Minister Joanne Meekins, was instrumental in helping me with my book, and she read through it and gave me all of my edits that I needed. So, and even more than that, Minister Joanne gave me the encouragement, and she was my cheerleader to keep it moving and get it done. So it has been an awesome experience. So Spa Theater is another way that you can always reach out to me to get a hold of the book. And I will be doing a book signing there. We're doing one in February for Black History Month.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we're going to highlight our folks, and I will be doing a signing at that in February. So Black History Month, I will be doing something at Spa Theater.
Thank you. You have a Facebook page or any of those more?
I do. I have a personal Facebook page. It's under Carla LeVeau Hawkins, and you can go on there and reach out to me too. So.
Well, thank you, Carla. I've heard so many ping, 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 pings on this. I am now opening up the line. We all want to talk to Carla L. Hawkins, and Mama never told me, and things Mama should have told me, but never did. Author. So *6 your phone. I'd like to just say also, let's limit our questions to about 3 minutes. There was some distrust on our last month's call. Some people talk too long. So we want to share this opportunity to speak with you, Carla.
Okay.
Okay, so *6 your phone. Hello. Peace and blessings.
Hey, Miss Jackie Trado.
Congratulations on your beautiful book. Thank you so very much. And I'm going to be very quickly. What I would like to know, and all the things that Mama never told you, are these some of the things that you are telling your daughters? And how much of your life do you see from your mother's life that's in your life as well?
Oh, very good. The thing that I do see, my mother was married twice, and after the second marriage, she was like, "That's it, no more, I'm done." And my second husband, we were not even married for a year when he left. I was actually bedridden sick and pregnant with our child, and he moved out. And my mother had come and experienced that with me because I, couldn't do much for myself. So she was coming to help me out. So she was here to see that transpire. And I was going to counseling. I had decided I wanted to go to counseling to help me through that process. And my mother said to me, I'll never forget this. She said to me, she said, 2 strikes, that's enough. I did just fine without a man. So you don't need counseling, you don't need anything, you can go for it. And I said, well, Mom, I said, whatever God has for me is for me. And, I just truly, I did not give up on the sanctity of marriage. I didn't give up on relationships or anything. No, at that time was I thinking about ever getting married again? No. But I was never going to close that window. And one of the things that came from that is I was like, okay, Lord, I curse to the root this generational curse of divorce in my family line. I curse it to the root. And when you see a pattern, it's important to recognize that pattern and know that God has so much more for us, and the family structure means everything. God placed us here as a family, and that unit is too important. So, I think that answers your question, Jackie. And for my children, especially for my daughter and my sons, I want them to explore life and to enjoy life and to love themselves, and then eventually find that connection, and to know that it's a beautiful thing when for my daughter, for when that right man finds her, and that she doesn't have to go looking for him. He will find her, and God, to focus on God in that relationship, because I told her God's your husband first, and when you focus on that and having that relationship tight, He will groom you and get you ready you are His bride, and He will have you ready for your husband. And my sons to be grounded in the Word and loving God and finding that right woman for them as well. So, hope that answered your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carla, congratulations. This is so much joy. I got the book. Thank you. Oh, I love it. Great job, Claudette. I love the rhythm in your book. I love the rhythm. Each chapter you come with a poem. It's awesome. I love it. It keeps saying to me, Mama never told me. And you know what? It impressed my mind to understand there's a whole lot my mama didn't tell me. So, and as I'm getting older and losing relatives and on the top, older ones, I realize how important it is just for the moment for us to really look inside ourselves. So I commend you for the courage of getting this book together. I was wondering, with your relationship with Philip, you were always caught in between Philip and William. And I said, oh my gosh, what kind of mama think your mama did tell me, what were you thinking, what were your thoughts about Philip's mother? Because she was really the wedge between, seemed like your true love, is that safe to say that? He seemed to have been a real tender person, and I was wondering, your mom did his mother? I know when she told you, made you feel like you weren't good enough for him for a lot of reasons or whatever. I mean, what was your assessment of her, and how would you speak to some mothers who are clingers like that? My mom was something like that, who just won't let their children be free to be the person they were born to be. What do you think about that? Philip and I went back and forth, because that was my actual high school sweetheart. And when we reconnected after college, it was like we never really missed a beat. And I had to look at that. I was like, okay, God, why would you bring him back into my life and then take him away from me again? But at the time that he came into my life, it was a very critical time for him, and he needed a rock. He needed some strength, and that's what I was for him. Unfortunately,
our faiths were different, and his mom was very, true to her faith, and felt, unfortunately, that he was being, the way she put it, that he was being punished because of how he was living his life. And when you are fighting for your life, you don't need a bunch of things tugging at you. And I loved him so much that I didn't want to be the cause of him to have a tug of war between the woman he loved and the mother he loved and their faith. So I pulled off and I pulled back.
That was great.
And it was very hurtful because God is not about religion. God is about your relationship. And so that was just a lesson that I learned. Our religions have so many have some false teachings in them, and some parts they take literally to prove their points or whatever. And I felt that that's really what she did, and kind of browbeated him with their religion, and it was tough to see. But in the end, they very short. I think of the week before his passing or whatever. She called for me. She wanted me to come and to see her, and so there had to be healing there too, and it that healing happened as well, and it was hard. It was hard because it hurt. It hurt that someone felt. Here I thought I was this pretty good Christian gal, and and to have that thrown at me that I wasn't good enough, my faith wasn't good enough, was difficult. So you're welcome.
I felt that even. Hi, Carla.
Hello.
I want to thank you for the gracious and kind words you said earlier, and I want to applaud you for getting it done, for getting it out there. I think you're one of the bravest, courageous, beautifully blessed sisters that I know, and so I'm applauding you now with a big smile because you shared this story, and it's going to be so liberating for so many others. And so my question is, it's two questions. The first one is, out of all the things your mother never told you, what is the must-tell or main thing that you believe a mother should tell her daughter in relation to your experience?
In relation to my experience, your mother should, I feel, that your mother should tell you how precious you are to God and how unique you are. And that your worth is not around any person, anyone outside yourself. That's what I really believe that a mother should tell their child. Love yourself.
And is there a major lesson that you learned through your relationship with men? What is it, and how are you applying it present day?
That's a good one. Major lesson that I've learned is be honest. My father used to say I'm honest to a fault. But my feeling is that for someone to truly know me and to understand who I am, and I am an open book. And if a man truly loves you, he would have all of you, your whole package. You become you. And the other thing that I learned is that the person that you call your husband, your they should be your friend first. They should be your number one, and that rock, that solid rock friend that you go to. You shouldn't have to go to anyone outside of that, your husband. That's when you fall into problems. Fight it.
And so that's the philosophy that you're applying in your life today?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carla LeVeau Hawkins.
Hey,
I love it.
Now,
I just want to ask.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say that in my book I do talk about the love soaks that I did to really come into loving myself, and this woman that just spoke up is instrumental in that walk that I took, the Love Journey Inc., this very own Janine Ingram. I love her so much, and I just thank God for her presence. But go ahead, I'll answer your question.
Yes. Phenomenal interview. I just want to ask one question. I kind of want to piggyback on what Minister Joanne. Hey, Minister Joanne. The one, and I say this from my own experience, so I just want to kind of re-ask this question, because growing up, never knowing my father, and having this longing, and there's something that happens inside you, and you know when you're not hearing the truth, but you don't necessarily know the truth. You don't think that no matter, to me, I just want to know what you think, that in some way that there still has been an acknowledgement of, and she asked you, you say you just think that if your mother would have told you it was presence in God, and I think that's a phenomenal thing, but do you think you still would have wanted to know, who is my father? How many
absolutely.
are like my physical father? Like, I would have, like, my mom is gone right now, but I would have liked to have, and I know it was very hurtful for her, so I didn't push a lot of things, but I just wish she had the courage to just say this, and this to me, because there's so many questions that I have. And no matter how much I know I'm precious to the Most High God, there's still these physical things that I want to know. Even though you know today that you were precious in God, but is there any thought process of, what would it have been like to have or seen or be in the presence of your dad?
Oh, absolutely. Every journey that I take, my father actually has a son, so I have a brother out there that I don't know. So yeah, there's still those questions. Of knowing. I mean, because every time people don't realize how it impacts you, but every time you go to the doctor's office and they ask you your family history, or you go here, and so there's this void that is not totally, the pieces aren't all completely filled in. So yeah, you still, despite that, you still feel a void, and that's one of the things with my children. No matter what happened between me and their fathers, it was imperative to me that my children always knew their dads. I was like never going to move away, that they would not know their father, would not, have any kind of contact. That was just not of how it impacted me. So yeah, if more than anything, I always tell my children, even to this day, because my daughter says to me, now that she's grown and she's quite hilarious, she asked me, she's like, Mom, what were you thinking? So I'm like, that's your father, and you will always respect. It's that the word says to honor thy mother and thy father. So I have to honor them by honoring their father, and by letting my baby boy right now, I said, me and your dad did one thing great. We produced a very phenomenal young man. I truly believe that you do your child a disservice if you do not tell them the truth.
That's what I wanted to hear. I just it is so important that we be honest, even if it's painful for us. It's a healing space for you and your children. So I just wanted to hear if you felt that same way. Thank you so much. I won't.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Claudette.
Thank you. Our next guest is Miss Mosley on the line. She was our first caller, and I haven't heard back from her. And I hope she didn't get lost in there. She's from your church, Carla?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
I did not get lost. This is Minister Mosley, Carla LeVeau Hawkins. Congratulations, congratulations.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
A few Sundays ago when your mother was visiting, I happened to meet her in the ladies' room before service and told her what an unusual and gifted and talented daughter that she has.
Thank you.
Appreciate this book, but I also remember that you were a member of an anthology or collection of things written by a group of artists that you were a part of a couple of years ago.
Yes, the book was Total Leadership for Men and Women.
Yeah, I have that one in my office, so I've got to get a copy of this one as well. So for all of us that are on the line, would you please tell us, if we don't have the copy, how exactly we can get the copy?
Just give me a call or text me at 708-878-1633, and I will get your copies to you.
Thank you so much.
Bless you.
While we're right here, you might as well tell them all the other ways they can get this book too. It's Thanksgiving time. People will be sitting around, and they will be wanting to hear courageous stories like yours, something good they can tell their kids about, something they can know has evidence of someone who's overcome a lot. So tell us again how we can get this book, Carla LeVeau Hawkins.
We can go to Women of Faith Stand United Ministries, which is WFSU Ministries @gmail.com. You can hit me on Facebook. I'm Carla LeVeau Hawkins on Facebook, or you can call me 708-878-1633.
Thank you. Thank you. It's important, the Cider Enterprises Book Club. I want to promote you guys. It's my pleasure to share your stories with the world. And so you got to keep telling where we can get those books at, where we can hear from you, where we can see you, where we can pick up our personal copies at. Those kind of things are very, very crucial, if you will, to the callers on the line. And I thank you for making so many opportunities available to them to purchase this book. I'm sure that this book is going to be a hot item all of next year, and especially around Women's Month, March, when we get back further into October again, the abuse. You suffered to me, and I say suffered because I personally, thank God, have never been attacked by a man or abused, and you had some serious situations going on in your story. And to hear you now say that I haven't given up on love, I still expect to have this family that's important to me be successful and loving. And that's, to me, that's great news. Especially you're a young woman, and you influence and affect a lot of people. And when they can see that in you, your graciousness and poise and beauty, they'll have to, want to get closer to you or get this book and find, well, what can I do? How can I too be successful? We need these examples for ourselves and for the young women of today.
Amen.
Oh, yeah. I especially want them to get to that part near the end of your book and that clarity that you have about you don't have to do anything to please a man. And I like your quote, I knew how to cook in the kitchen and in the bedroom. So why can't I keep a man? And so many women today are asking, where's my man? How come I can't get him? And you answered it very perfectly, too, with, twisted reality is what you had, your view of love and how relationships work. And the most important and critical thing that came out of this to me was that you learn to love yourself. That is what every young girl, young man, all of us need to know. That you can't be for someone else what you won't be for yourself.
Amen.
Amen. So I just applaud you as you move forward in sharing this story with many people. You're going to influence even more folks in life. I just know it.
I appreciate the opportunity to be a guest on Cider Enterprises. You are doing phenomenal things, and it has been a very humbling experience for me, and I appreciate all that you do. So I ask the Lord to continue to bless everything that you do and everything you put your hands to, for you are truly a blessing. So I thank you. I thank you. I thank you for being you and showing up in your greatness.
Well, I appreciate it. I receive all that goodness, and I'm going to brag a little bit because last month when we had a 2-day anniversary celebration for Cider Enterprises, the author's appreciation ceremony was off the chain. We were in a phenomenal place, the New Stony Island Arts Banks, with the Johnson Publishing collection there as our background. We were filled with people who came to appreciate the authors who've been on this book club. And I tell you, I was just overjoyed at the turnout. We had great music. People were excited. And so next year's celebration, Carla, I'm looking forward to you leading the way, too, to help us enjoy such a wonderful event.
Amen. I'm looking forward to being there.
Oh, yes. It gladdens my heart. They say a lot about my people, but to know that we still read, we still support each other, and it's almost like the 60s again with this plethora of new books coming out. We're telling our stories. And I tell you, young lady, you have done well. Again, I'd like to extend my appreciation to you for having joined the Cider Enterprises Book Club conference call. And I invite you and your friends to join us during the Christmas time, December 16th. We're going to be doing something for our black children. I'm going to be featuring authors who promote children's books. We've seen the magnitude of those coming out for us adults. And your mama never told me things mama should have told me but never did is a great prelude, if you will, to the children's book. Let's get to them during the holiday time and make certain that they have great books, learning pieces, and they can see themselves in the literature that we produce. So I want to thank all the callers tonight for joining us, and I look forward to everybody just having the greatest Thanksgiving ever. If you can just thank the Lord for every blessing He has given you since last year's Thanksgiving, hey, that'll fill up your 3, 4, 5 days off sitting around.
Well, I'd like to congratulate everybody that is on the line, and also I called late. I'd like to know if they'll call back the number or to hear the replay.
Well, if you will just tune in to the Cider Enterprises YouTube channel from the book club, we have our replays, and in fact, our replay of tonight's call will be up within the next day or so. So do follow me on Facebook, Cider Enterprises. The Cider Enterprises Book Club .com has its own page, and you can hear the replay.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for calling, Mr. King.
My honor.
Looking forward to his book. It's coming out soon, y'all. Mr. King's got a book coming out.
Yeah, my September through April roster is going to be filled. So I'm looking forward to you all. Keep writing. God bless you all. And have a great evening.
Claudette.
Congratulations, Carla.